with 50 million confirmed diabetic patients, with a number projected to go to 123 millions by 2040, another 20 years. And these number does not include people who are pre-diabetic, people who have got high insulin, or people who have got high blood sugar. We are the diabetic capital of the world. Hi, namaste, and welcome to today's episode. Today we'll talk about one dietary habit or a routine that we have known for ages, and this is a country which boasts the culture and the inventor of Ayurveda, one of the oldest civilization in the world, and still we are the diabetic capital of the world. What has changed? What has led to us being the diabetic capital of the world? Is it that our dietary choices are bad? Is it that our cuisine is bad? If that is the case, the Western world would not be adapting to what we have been advocating, we have been eating, be it turmeric milk, be it all the herbs, be it all the spices that we offer to the world. But there is something that has changed that has led to us being a diabetic capital of the world. Have you ever thought about what was there in our past, in our dialects, in our ancient culture that we have gone away with? We have always been promoted to eat a balanced meal. We have been eating, and our culturally, our land is so diverse, there is so much variety that happens. But why is it that we have got high diabetes? See, if you go back, you have to understand what exactly is diabetes. Every time you eat food, your blood sugar goes up. When your blood sugar goes up, the body has to bring that blood sugar down by secreting something known as insulin. Insulin comes, it's like a key. Insulin comes, carries the blood sugar with it to the cell, open the cell, let the blood sugar goes down, it goes into the cell, and the level in the blood goes down, and thus maintaining the pH of your blood. But over time, what happens if your insulin is secreted over and over and over and over and over and over again because of high blood sugar that is continuously coming in? Eventually, what will happen? The pancreas get tired, the body's ability to push insulin and sugar into the cell goes down, and then we have what we call insulin resistance, leading it to pre-diabetes, leading it to diabetes. It is as simple as that. Now, a lot of people say a lot of myths about don't eat fat, don't eat sugar, don't do this, eat a high carb diet, eat a high protein diet, eat a fat diet, do this, do that. But still, okay, the answer lies that we are still at point zero. Now, why this is happening is a question that you should be asking yourself. See, whether it is paleo diet, whether it is an Atkins diet, whether it is a keto diet, it is a low carb, high fat diet, a lot of diets in this world, okay, which people promote. Now, each diet can suit each individual. It is not a generalized diet that it will suit everybody in this world. Okay. So, you need to first understand what is the right diet for you. But more important for us to understand is, except for fat, which you get in the fatty acids, whether it is a carbohydrate, whether it is protein, whether it is a keto diet, or whether it is a high carb diet, anything that you eat, whether it is fruits, vegetables, greens, grains, meat, poultry, eggs, anything that you eat, always spikes your insulin. The level will go up and down depending upon what you're eating. Because protein is heavier, you eat less, hence the ability to have lesser spike as compared to carbohydrates. But for gram to gram comparison, they both spike your blood sugar same. So what happens? You ate a diet, your blood sugar went up, okay, the insulin is secreted, blood sugar comes down faster, insulin stays up for some time, then slowly it comes down. In the meantime, you eat another meal, the cycle goes up, third meal, fourth meal, fifth meal. By the time your day ends, you have excess insulin which spill over to next day. The cycle starts, continues, and you are insulin resistant. Now, where does this start? It started with the marketing gimmick that started saying eat smaller meals frequently. Yes, there are a lot of people who promote smaller meals, and there are certain category of people who have adrenal fatigue, who have very low cortisol, whose adrenal glands have tired, they need to eat on a frequent basis every 2 to 3 hours. But the rest of the population do not need to eat on 2 to 3 hours. If you are eating, or if you have followed a diet which says eat frequent meal, get your energy up, burn more calories, you are on a path of having a high blood sugar. If you go back to Ayurveda, Ayurveda says there are only three meals or bhojan. It does not classify as breakfast, lunch, dinners, mid-morning snacks, evening snacks. That is more of how the industry has evolved, that has been marketed, how the manufacturers have produced, how the advertisers have advertised, that we are talking about breakfast and then certain categories of food in breakfast. In Ayurveda, they say meal, or what is say सुबह का खाना, दोपहर का खाना, रात का खाना. There is no breakfast, lunch, dinner categorization. Okay, you can eat absolutely anything at any time, but it says you need to eat 2 to 3 meals and no snacks. See, when your insulin remains high for a longer time, you would definitely have a spillover. You will have insulin resistance and you will have higher elevated blood sugar, you will have HbA1c high, and you are pre-diabetic and diabetic of the world. So, first tip is never let your insulin stay high, whether it is through protein or through a carb diet. So, number one tip, eat only 2 to 3 meals in a day. 2 better, max 3 meals in a day. So, your meal, if you are eating, keep a gap of 2 to 3 hours, 3 to 4 hours between your 2 meals. So, if you're eating a breakfast, which is a balanced, healthy breakfast, and within 3 hours of it, you are hungry, that means your, your, your breakfast or your meal was imbalanced. It needs to be enough to keep you going for next 3 hours. Okay. Second tip, move into fasting. Now, fasting does not mean that I'm talking about dry fasting, intermittent fasting, rotational fasting, or occasional fasting. No. What I'm saying, and when you do fasting, don't attach with the notion that fasting will lead to weight loss. No, that the moment you attach this notion together, that your activity will lead to an experience of weight loss, you try to do more of something to get better results. So that means you start to extend your fast, or you don't eat proper balanced in your recovery phase, leading to a lot of issues later. When I say fasting means have a discipline around your meal timings. Fix your meal timings, whether it is a breakfast or your second meal lunch or a third meal dinner, have a timing that is fixed. Third thing, what you have to do, keep a gap between your meal and your bedtime. Okay. Fourth thing, try to walk for 10 minutes, slow 10 minutes walk after 10 minutes of your meal. So that will ensure that your blood sugar is not elevated for a longer, less insulin is needed because there is some activity happening and you're burning that blood sugar there. Okay. You would want your ketones to go up, but if your insulin remains high, your blood sugar high remains high, your ketones will never be high and you will only burn that sugar and you will not burn the stored fat. When you burn the sugar, you will have more cravings for sugar and carbohydrate and this energy rush that you need. Hence, you will need more processed food or more carbohydrates. Okay. Fourth thing, start to work on high intensity interval training. So, weight training or some high intensity training for a shorter period of time, then low intensity training. So, maybe jog, walk, sprint, jog, run, whatever you want to call it. Okay. And the last thing is start working on adding herbs which heal your liver. That remains the center portion for it. Okay, people whose blood sugar has been high, your CoQ10 level goes down, your energy production goes down. Why does it happen? Now, conventional medicine says that your fasting insulin should be around 25. Above 25, you are diabetic. Okay, but after every meal, when your insulin is spiked, the insulin can go up by 7 times. Okay, whereas functional medicine says your insulin should be around 5 to 7. Okay, I try to say that insulin should be around 5 because after a meal, if my insulin is going up by 7 times, means if it is 5, it will go up to 35, which is already the next 2 hours of eating a meal, I'm already into a diabetic condition. Now, if I'm eating another meal in between, okay, that means I'm pushing my insulin up. Or if my levels are 20, 21, fasting insulin of 13, 15, multiplied by 7, 20 insulin multiplied by 7, 140. That means you're way above your threshold of being a diabetic in those 2 hours or 3 hours. Coupled it with eating more. Okay, so you had your breakfast at 8 o'clock, you had your morning uh, snack at 10 o'clock, then you had your lunch at 2, then you had your snacks at 4, then you had your 6 o'clock tea and snacks, and then you have your 8 o'clock dinner, and then you have late night movie watching, something at 10:30 small binging. Next day you are guilty, you did exercise, and then 6 days of good high intensity exercise, and then you said, oh, it's a reward day. So this culture of reward day comes in, and then you eat something in this cycle, leading it to a huge problem. Okay, try to keep your health as simple as possible. Don't go after any particular number. The best healthy weight for you is something that you can work metabolically best and stay disease free. That's the ideal number for you. That's the ideal weight for you. Okay, so to manage your diabetes, to manage your insulin, don't eat frequent meals until and unless it's been advised by a doctor for a reason that you are satisfied with, or somebody who's got an adrenal fatigue where you need to eat to keep your adrenal glands up. But again, that's a symptomatic treatment. That's not healing. You need to work on your stress. You need to work on your sleep. You need to work on your exercise to get this back on track. Have a wonderful afternoon, everyone, and we'll catch up soon. Namaste.